And now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Wang Yi, member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and Minister for Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, colleagues, I thank Prime Minister Grubb for chairing today's meeting and thank Secretary General Guterres for his briefing. I have also noted President Zelensky's expressed position. The crisis in Ukraine has entered its third year. The conflict continues to spread, civilian casualties are on the rise, and the spillover effects are intensifying. Yet, the dawn of peace remains distant. Every day the crisis drags on brings more suffering to the people, more destruction to the region, and more instability to the world. This situation is unsustainable and must be reversed. All parties should prioritize peace and the well-being of the people and sincerely commit to promoting dialogue and negotiation. In this regard, China's proposals are as follows. First, we must heighten the sense of urgency in de-escalating the situation. The most pressing task is to adhere to the three principles of preventing the spillover of the battlefield, avoiding escalation of the conflict, and refraining from fueling the fire. Especially, there must be no use of weapons of mass destruction, no attacks on nuclear power plants or other peaceful facilities, and no assaults on civilians or civilian infrastructure. The more weapons sent to the battlefield, the harder it becomes to achieve the goal of a ceasefire. This is an objective reality that must be confronted. All parties should abandon Cold War-style confrontational thinking and play a constructive role in cooling down the situation to create the necessary conditions for an early ceasefire. Second, we must enhance the sense of responsibility for promoting peace talks. Dialogue and negotiation are the only viable solution to the Ukraine crisis. If peace talks are delayed, misunderstandings and miscalculations will accumulate, leading to an even bigger crisis. Recently, there have been growing international calls for peace talks, with more and more countries of the global South coming together voluntarily to support peace and create a conducive atmosphere for a peaceful resolution. The international community must seize this opportunity and work together to promote dialogue and negotiation. Third, we must strengthen the sense of urgency in controlling the spillover effects. The ongoing spillover from the Ukraine crisis is exacerbating the global economic downturn, with many global South countries suffering severe negative impacts. Achieving the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda has become even more challenging. No party should use the crisis as an excuse to impose illegal unilateral sanctions or unjustly suppress normal economic and trade activities. Nor should anyone exploit this situation to create divisions and form exclusive blocs. China calls on the international community to strengthen cooperation in areas such as energy, finance, trade, and food security, as well as to protect critical infrastructure like oil and gas pipelines, in order to maintain the stability and smooth operation of global industrial and supply chains and safeguard the legitimate rights and development space of developing countries. The Security Council bears the primary responsibility for maintaining international peace and security. On the Ukraine issue, the Security Council must be a mediator of differences, an advocate of seeking common ground while reserving differences, a defender of collective security, and a builder of lasting peace. We hope that Security Council members will take a broader and longer-term view, doing more to promote reconciliation and peace rather than the opposite. Mr. President, China's position on the Ukraine issue has been consistent, clear, and unequivocal. President Xi Jinping has solemnly pointed out that the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries must be respected, the purposes and principles of the UN Charter must be upheld. The legitimate security concerns of all countries must be taken seriously, and all efforts conducive to a peaceful resolution of the crisis should be supported. This is China's authoritative position and fundamental confidence on the Ukraine issue. China is not the creator of the Ukraine crisis, nor is it a party directly involved. China has always stood on the side of peace. We maintain contact with all parties, including Russia and Ukraine, and remain committed to promoting dialogue and negotiation. Our diplomatic efforts have been widely recognized and supported by the international community. China has also issued the China's position on the political settlement of the Ukraine crisis document and, together with Brazil, released a 6-point consensus, playing an appropriate role in building consensus among all parties and pushing for a political resolution of the Ukraine crisis. I must also emphasize that any attempt to shift responsibility onto China and the Ukraine issue, or to attack and smear China, is irresponsible and will not succeed. Mr. President, the world we live in today is becoming increasingly complex, and humanity faces unprecedented risks. Promoting a political solution to the Ukraine crisis and building a safer world is the common aspiration of the international community and the shared responsibility of all nations. China calls on the international community to join hands in practicing a common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable security concept to build more international consensus for an early ceasefire and cessation of hostilities, to voice more rational opinions in support of a political solution, and to make greater joint efforts to ensure lasting peace and stability in the region. Thank you, everyone.
Thank His Excellency Mr. Yi for his statement, and now I give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Antony Blinken, Secretary of State of the